That's the only way. So sometimes the church start walking backward. That's the way they make progress, Yeah. The outer framework of the church was shaken. The inner life of the church is threatened. Now, asked earlier, some of the two heresies that come. So it is a time to say that, heretic teachings begin to come to the church, Manichaeism originated in Persia. We heard about it. It attracted even St. Augustine. But later he corrected the error and opposed the teachings. His opposition did much to stop Manichaeism. However, it never died out. From the West, it almost died out. But in the East, Manichaeism lingered on. During the Crusades, the ideas came back into Western Europe through Bulgaria, through the trade routes. The Albigenses, that's one heretic group. The idea of Manichaeism spread to France. Albi in France became a hot spot for Manichaeism. A new label, but the old content. Albigenses, it's the same Manichaeism, but they have put a new name because, Albi is a place from where it originated. So another name they adopted was Cathari, C-A-T-H-A-R-I. Cathari was also came to popularity. So the Catharis, like the Manichaeans, were dualist. You know what dualism is, don't you? Dualism teaches that there are two kinds of realities. One is a physical reality, the other is a spiritual reality, or matter and spirit. The matter is evil, spirit is good. Who made the matter? There was a bad God, he made matter. There was a good God, he made the spirit. So all that is material is created by the bad God. All that is spiritual is created by the good God. Some of these Albigenses rejected the Old Testament because the Old Testament was bad. It contains a lot of killing and army and, marriage and all these things. They have read it just, Old Testament must be given by a bad God. New Testament, it is given by the good God. Because love your enemies and this and that and all that. So they taught that Christ did not have a physical body because matter is evil. He also did not have a real death because death is the body. So that's again, they rejected sacraments because sacrament is matter, the bread and wine. So they rejected church buildings because building is matter. In another sense, basically they were saying everything the Roman Catholic Church was doing is wrong. You can just feel how the church will feel, when they say that. Of course, what they teach is wrong. Is matter evil? No, matter is not evil. There is no evil in matter. Evil comes in the sin, the flesh. In the Bible, flesh means the sinful nature. Matter is a neutral thing. There is this cup. The cup is a neutral thing. It is neither has virtue in it or evil in it. It's a neutral thing. So when they said that there are two gods and all, it is contrary to what the Bible teaches. There is only one God. There is no good God and bad God. There is no such thing. So Albigenses, they got the fury and the anger of both the church and the king and everybody. At the same time, during the same time, there was another group. They are called the Waldenses. Peter Waldo was a man who believed that only New Testament should be the rule of faith. Old Testament should be rejected. Around the year 1176, he sold all his properties and gave the money to the poor. His followers are called Waldenses. The Waldenses went out to preach. They went 2 by 2. They were barefooted. They wore simple garments. On Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, alternative days, they fasted. They would not swear an oath, or they would never shed blood. They won't go army or anything. They used only the Lord's Prayer. They did not believe in purgatory. They did not believe in prayers. They did not believe in masses for the dead. They did not consider church building any more sacred than a stable. They practiced lay preaching, both by men and women. So this is happening. So what is happening that in the Roman Catholic Church you need a license to preach. Usually it is all the friars or it is a priest who can preach, not an ordinary man. And if ordinary men need to preach, they need to have a license from the bishop, that this person is licensed to preach. So now what happens, there are men and women going around everywhere and preaching, they have no license, nothing, So they are spreading wrong thing, that Old Testament is not considered Bible, only New Testament. And so the Waldenses and the Albigenses together, they were making a great hue and cry all throughout the Roman empire. And they were becoming parallel authorities actually. Lot of people were following them, believing them. And those who believed these two groups, they were no more loyal to the Pope and the Church. This is growing up, picking momentum and growth, and an independent group parallel to the Church. So Roman Church was very much concerned. Something has to be done. Yes. So what something? Church resorted to persecution. Indulgences, they were called before the indulgence group, and they tried them, and then they found them guilty and handed them over to the kings who executed them, burned them on stakes. The Albigenses and the Waldenses, they were different. However, the Roman Church felt both of them a serious threat to the Church. The Church pronounced both of the heretics. The Dominicans and the Franciscans orders were organized, to preach against these people. They became armies of Pope. The preaching of the Dominicans and the Franciscans had some success, but not much. The heretics were gaining more ground, so the Church started the Inquisition with the Dominicans in charge. It's very much interesting that the weeds grow faster than the good cultivation, always. So, people are already sick and tired with the Pope and bishops and all their luxury life and this and that and all their money is always constantly taken, and all that. That's when it came, and these people are leading poor life. They are not amassing money. They sound more honest, simple. And for the people, they have never seen Old Testament or New Testament. So what difference it makes to them saying that, Old Testament is not Bible, New Testament sound good. Old is not good, new is better, right? So that sort of a thing, that's the way they are, the ignorance and stupidity of these people, yes. So the Church resorted to Inquisition was a Roman court where anyone suspected of heresy was brought in and tried.
What is the Albigency theory? Albigency, what that theory?
What did they do? Oh, you took a small nap. Yeah, they said that they are the old Manichaeans. Manichaeism taught that matter is evil and all that thing. So they gave a new name, Catharis or Albigenses, but basically they taught the same thing, the dualism. They believed that there is a good God and a bad God. All that is material is bad, created by the bad God. All that is spirit is good. Some of the Albigenses rejected the Old Testament. They considered Old Testament, work of the evil gods. Some accepted Psalms, of course, because Psalms sounded a little better. So they taught that Christ did not have a physical body, because body is evil, matter is bad. He also did not have a real death because, the body, if he didn't have the body, then how can he have a death? So they reject all the sacraments. It is bread, that's matter. It's cup, wine, that's matter again, Church building, that's all stones and mortar and all, that's bad, So the Church found them heretics. They are also very much similar, but they were not the Manichaean group. Their point was that the New Testament is the only thing acceptable, Old Testament is not. And people should live simple, poor life, That's what basically they were. But they were a threat, but they fasted, 3 days a week they fasted. They will not swear, they will not take an oath.
These teachings are going on. Was the original teaching of the Bible, faith. Salvation by faith.
Oh, that,
Still there?
those are, oh no, salvation by faith is all gone. That now Luther has come to bring it back. No, people never heard about salvation for the first time. Faith, they didn't know what it is. Of course. Yeah. So, those things we are not up there. They are all lost. They are all lost. This is ignorance.
Probably the records are not there. They must have been there. Probably the records are not there.
Yeah, they must be there in the Bible, but the Bible was kept away. That's one thing Constantine did. He said that the Roman Empire will not be ruled by books written by fishermen. I know administration. I got MBA from University of Rome. He said that. So he organized everything, entirely different. The whole administrations and everything was completely different. So Bible was not referred to anybody. Some people personally didn't possess Bible because it was very expensive for one thing. So only the bigger churches will have copy. The churches will have copy. That's it. And that nobody was using. What is the use of that book? Just like say Bible, what is it? That's a book that you keep under the pillow, so that devil will not come in the night. That sort of, that's just, people used to say, they didn't know what was Bible, honestly. Now everybody knows Bible. Everybody knows Bible because, for so many reasons, basically because of the Reformation. Even the Bible that was there, people could not understand it. It was in the Greek language and all that. Most of the original New Testament, the translation came. But very few. So people were not able really to know the truth. It was totally ignorance. So then anyway, the Inquisition was the solution. They found that the friars or the preachers were sent out. They will go and counter preaching on this.
Also, there's one question about.
Yeah.
After Christ died, it's period of grace. There's Holy Spirit available and all that. So the power of gospel. So that.
It was there. The Anabaptists and the secret believers were communicating the truth, and those who get saved were drawn away from. So you walk into a Roman Catholic church, or a Greek Orthodox church, all that you have is the chanting. That's what it is. There is no gospel. What preaching will be there? I think the priest may be preaching something. I don't know what they are preaching.
Politics.
Yeah, it's just ignorance, It's just ignorant. They will say this and that. This is a ridiculous story, but an inspector came inspecting a school. So they asked the student to answer some question, and so he gave the answer. He said electricity. Electricity. So he asked the teacher, why the child is saying electricity? So the teacher said, the capacity of the children is very low. The capacity is very low. So inspector went to the headmaster and said that the child is getting electricity, the teacher said capacity. So what is this? So the headmaster said, Sir, publicity don't give much publicity. So, the ignorance is, all these people are what they are teaching, ignorance. That's what. Teacher was teaching the wrong things, the child was saying the same thing. Why the teacher, child, the headmaster was saying the same thing, So that is what all these preachers were doing. They were just saying nonsense. They didn't know what to preach. So they will be saying that, you should not fight each other, you should be loving each other, you don't commit adultery, you have to come to the church and all. They have never read the Bible. You ask them really who Jesus Christ is, I will be surprised to know that they don't know who Jesus is. They know that Jesus is Son of Mary and all that, but He is God, He is man, He is the second person of Trinity and all those things. I don't know how many of them will say it. We don't know. So, preaching was going on, yes. the Albanese and the Waldenses, they were all doing converting people. A lot of Albanese and the Waldenses are different. However, the Roman Church felt both of them same thing. For them, they all put them all together. Actually, the Waldenses were not necessarily, teaching the same thing as the Albanese were teaching. Albanese were from the Manichaeism. These people, true, they did not accept the Old Testament as and this and few things, but they were basically not necessarily, they are not taking oaths and all that. What is wrong in not taking oaths? And or they did not believe in purgatory. Well, that's a right thing. And they didn't believe in prayer, masses for the dead, prayer to the saints. Basically, these Waldenses were right. They called them heresies. But these people were not heretics. But anyway, the Dominicans, called them before the Inquisition, and they found them all guilty, asked them to recant and repent, but no repentance, no recanting. So Inquisition, that's what it is, Inquisition. The friars will question them. If the right answer is not given, and if they don't recant and repent, they will recommend their name for burning. Yes, they will send out to the king, whatever country they live in. So a lot of people were burnt. The heretic will go bound to the stakes, and they will be burned by fire. When a heretic is questioned by the friars, if he refuses to answer, the friars can beat that person until he answers or until he dies. Think of that. Yes. So they had such amount of power. So they will have whips, they will ask, so if they don't answer, they will whip until he answers. Some of them died just by those whipping. Many Albigenses and Waldenses were victims of Inquisition. Their number was so great in southern France that to destroy them was too big for Inquisition. So Pope called for mob action. He recommended people just come with stones and stakes and all that and kill these people, because their number outnumbered. Sometimes the whole village, the whole city was completely converted to them. And so Pope had no way of arresting everybody and bringing them before, the Inquisition board. No. So it's, he excited the people, incited the people. People marched against them and just killed them. For 20 years, blood flowed like water. What was beautiful cities and villages in France now lay waste. It was terrible. The Waldenses took shelter in high valleys of Alps. The Alps mountains are very high, and they took shelter. It said that they still live there even today, those people. They are children. At the time of Reformation, they accepted their teaching and became Protestants, the Waldenses. And they broke away from the Roman Catholicism during the Middle Ages. The Waldenses are the only group survived to the present time. Others were all destroyed. They were completely exterminated, And it's very, very, very difficult, very, very difficult. So now the seeds of Reformation is being sown. That we'll take next time and next week when we come together. The Reformation. John Wycliffe, that great man, the morning star comes in. John Wycliffe has organized, and he has recruited people who are called Lollards, the traveling preachers. He taught them the Bible, the true Bible, and asked them to go and preach. The Pope wanted to reform the people, but what they wanted, they didn't want the people's wrong doctrines to be corrected. They only wanted the people's, moral actions to be better. Actually, what Pope wanted, people will be more faithful and true to the church, so that money will be given whenever asked. That's what it is. If you do that, whenever the circular comes, so many lakhs of money need to be donated by this church, If you give it, you are good. If not, the problem. But the thing is, those who have already heard the messages preached by these so-called heretic groups, they are not going to give money. Because these people are preaching from the New Testament. The friars they have not seen the New Testament. What will they do? So it was a battle of the Bible against the Bible. And Reformation won. Yes, but Reformation had excesses and failures too. But Reformation is still going on. It's going on. I don't think it will be complete until the Lord comes back. Means, I don't think the church will ever go back to the apostolic days in all areas. It will be very difficult because the influence of the world upon the church is so great. If we ask the church to come back to the apostolic purity of life, their view on materialism, view on the worldliness and all these things, you come back to the apostolic days, how many people will take it? So we have what we call halfway. Doctrinally we will come back. Doctrinally we will come back. There are a lot more doctrines to come, I'm definite that. I'm not a person who will say that we have learned all. No. The Lutherans thought that they have found the truth. No, but they didn't found the truth. Then the Presbyterians thought they found the truth. No, they didn't find the truth. And then came, one by one, they came. Everybody claimed that we got the truth. No. Did we get the truth all? No. The truth all not gone. We got part of it. Now, God willing, somebody from our midst, God will raise up. I'm sure that. And He will come forward with more truth. How we respond to it, that will decide. If we accept what they teach and examine the Bible and say, hey, that's the truth, then a new denomination, a new group will not come. If we say that, our fathers did not teach us this one, so we excommunicate him, he will go and start something. Exactly that happened all through. That's going to happen. The only way you can stop it is, you always, when somebody from our midst teaches something that is different, immediately don't judge it heresy. Listen to it. Let all the elders and all the workers and all come together and let him teach it and examine it. We have counter questions and discussions, and if it is found wrong, he has to correct. If it is found correct, we have to accept it. Then that becomes the teaching. If the church does not have that sort of a freedom, then the church will cease to be a church, it will become a denomination. Because you are locked in the teaching of some people. And the sad thing is, every teacher wants his teaching to be. No, we should question ourselves. There is no inherent teacher. I believe what I teach is correct, but if somebody will show me I am wrong, I'll accept it. No, I'm not infallible. Who is infallible? So that sort of an openness we must have. When we are not willing to open it and listen, it's wrong. It's wrong. So it's a danger that, you close, you make fences all around and don't allow the truth to come in. That's what happened to Roman Catholics, the Orthodox, the Baptist, the Brethren, the boxing group, every group. And I honestly believe that won't happen to us. But if it happens, it's sad. So, Reformation is progressing, going. It's going, God help us. That's all I'll pray. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you have questions, definitely. Yeah.
During the rise and fall of the
Orthodox Church, I said in 1045, the division has taken place completely. The Eastern Church and the Western Church. The Eastern Church continued as it was. Whatever they believed, it didn't undergo any changes. The Eastern Church never had a Reformation. Yeah, there no teacher came up. What they believed, they believed. So the Orthodox Church, the little divisions like the Jacobites and the Orthodox, or some minor divisions, for example, the Coptic Church, which is or the Greek Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox, the what they call the Baba come now. Where is he from? Visiting India now? Antioch, Syria. The anti-Syrian Orthodox, and there were, Orthodox Church. Every country had Orthodox Church, but basically they all believed the same thing. There are minor variations, but basically they all believed the same thing. But the Reformation came in the West because the West was completely in darkness. No education, nothing. So what happened when the Renaissance came? You know what Renaissance is? The Renaissance came, Navothanam. Renaissance came, people began to learn Greek, Hebrew, the classical languages, Latin and all. So they began to read many of the writings of the fathers, church fathers and all. They were able to. And they started reading the original Bible, the Greek Bible and the Hebrew Bible. For example, Erasmus, one of the great, one of the last men of the Renaissance period, one of the last scholastics. And Thomas Aquinas, a lot of people came with new ideas, new studies and all that. So West undergone changes. Even the Roman Catholic Church itself has completely overhauled their beliefs and teachings when Thomas Aquinas came. A lot of things they changed. Not any major things, but the way why they believed some of the things believed, Thomas Aquinas interpreted differently. So that sort of changes were there. So in the West a lot of Reformation changes came, but the East never.
What was happening in countries like India?
Hinduism was here. China, what was Confucianism, what was Shintoism, what was in China?
Was India part of that Eastern?
Yes, India was part of the Orthodox movement. Yes, then the Roman Catholicism in India is a new thing. The first Roman Catholic to come to India was Vasco da Gama. What is 1498? He was the first one. Before that, no Roman Catholic came. So it was all Orthodox. Then the Portuguese came. The Portuguese by force converted. The Kun and Kuru Satyagraha and all the history says that they were by force, because the Portuguese had the bishop and the army, the general. So the bishop will call the Orthodox priest and all come for a meeting. Okay? So they were forced, If they didn't come, they will make to come, because wherever they could. But they have used every method, The story is going about the gold coin that was kept inside the Kurikata. The CH2KAT people, I don't know whether it's CH2KAT or some other CH2KAT. They were all Orthodox people. They were all brought in. Their priests came in, and they came and for a breakfast. What is his name? The bishop invited them. So the bishop said that we all need to go together. You need to leave this Orthodox faith and come under the Roman Catholic. That is the throne of Peter, the right thing and all that. And they were having okay. So the Kurikatas were served, and they will open the Kurikata. It's a gold coin. I said, okay, I joined. This is history. I'm exaggerating a little funny way, but this is history. So a lot of people joined because the coin, gold coin will be there. I joined. And there were some who could not be. They tied the rope and they take the promise that not we. We are not going to join. Some of those people were taken to Goa. Goa is a place, there were places, persecution chambers are there still, where these